We are here. We are live. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the August 27th, 2024 edition of our pre-market prep segment. What is this segment, right? What are we doing here? This is where we go over all the important news, notes, analysis, trade ideas, thinking patterns necessary to make sure that you're out here surviving markets, right? It's been tumultuous waters the past few weeks, and yet we've been able to do things like perfectly time the buy on IWM and, come through with Lilly and come through with I don't even know. Just throw out any of the other assortment of names, over the course of the past few sessions. Peloton, there's some all over the place, right? How are we able to do this? Well, it's by keeping our ears to the streets, making sure that we are attending to the little things, and then also executing, because information without knowledge is useless, right? If I say, hey, there's an opportunity here, and all you're doing is popping in here and you're aware of the opportunity, but you don't take advantage of it, if anything, that's worse than just not knowing, right? You want to make sure that if you're exposed and you have that knowledge, that you also put that knowledge to work. So that's also what this is about, not just being aware of what's happening and how to process that information, but also executing, right? Putting it to work, because information is power, knowledge is power, but only if you use it. Otherwise, it is nothing but potential. And potential is nothing if not actualized. So, I say all that to say I'm excited to get into what we have going on here today, and I'm excited to continue to execute. It's Tuesday, which means we still have the majority of the week ahead of us, right? So if you had a crappy Monday, you didn't get anything done, you didn't cross anything off your to-do list, call this turnaround Tuesday. That's what this is for you, right? The opportunity for you to completely turn things around, to get things in gear, get things moving, and still make this a great week, right? Because the day has barely gotten started. I've already gotten some great wins in. I love having a good win-filled morning. But there's the majority of the day ahead of us, right? So if you had a bad morning, bad Monday, whatever, throw that out of the back window, right? You got to be looking forward, controlling what you can control, and worry about that. The past is in your head, but the future's in your hands, right? And all you have is what's in your hands right now. So let's put them to work. And as always, we're here to do one thing and one thing only. That's get 1% better by the end of this session, right? So throw your ones in the chat, whether you're watching live or via replay. And it's time to get after it here with our top news. Drama ends. It's official. The bidding war for Paramount Global has ended after Edgar Bronfman Jr. ended his pursuit of acquiring the storied Hollywood studio for $6 billion that challenged Skydance Media's merger deal. The exit of the Seagram Co. heir means that Skydance, run by David Ellison, son of billionaire tech maverick and Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, will become the new owner of Paramount. So, dropping out, quote, tonight, our bidding group informed the special committee that we will be exiting the go shop process, Bronfman said in a statement. It was a privilege to have the opportunity to participate. We continue to believe that Paramount is an extraordinary company with an unrivaled collection of marquee brands, assets, and people. The decision was reportedly partly because of a tight deadline to submit financial documents. Bronfman's decision has cleared the way for Skydance to take control of Sherry Redstone's media empire. Paramount announced that it ended its go shop period that allowed it to field other bidders and now expects to complete its deal with Skydance in the first half of next year. But shares of Paramount tumbled 4% before the bell today following Bronfman's exit. Background, both proposals included payment of about $2.4 billion to acquire National Amusements, the Redstone family company that controls Paramount, and investments in Paramount to reduce its debt. Skydance's deal includes its eventual merger with Paramount for $4.5 billion in cash or stock. Meanwhile, Bronfman has sweetened his offer last week for National Amusements and a minority stake in Paramount itself to $6 billion from his original $4.3 billion proposal. So finally, we can stop sitting here reporting on Paramount, which I don't think any of us care to hear about anymore, right? If you've heard Paramount before at some point, at least 3 times in the past month and a half, throw a 3 in the chat, because I feel like every other day we're looking at this Paramount saga and I just don't care enough. When it comes to news and things like that, like if you see volume in a chart that lets you know beforehand that news can come along and you position that way, I'm fine with it. But once news happens, I'm not one to chase news around, right? Because you can see that the intricacies of these deals in the negotiation process, Paramount down 4% here just because a bidder pulled out. It's tumultuous. And a big thing, probably the biggest thing when it comes to trading and navigating markets and investing and all that, is mental capital, right? Not using your brain and driving it into the ground over something that you cannot control. So I don't want to sit in there and be like, oh man, I hope these guys that have no idea of my interests in this deal just happen to go the same way as me, right? That's not enough for me. And a lot of people are fine with that, right? Whether it's like trading GameStop or whatever, they're like, I hope that their goals align with mine. And I don't think hope is an investment strategy, right? I don't think it's a solid life strategy. I think you got to have faith, of course, but faith without works is dead. You got to put in the works too. So making sure, ensuring that you are aligned with the goals of those that have the money to control what's happening, that's the key, right? That's the key. Not hoping and praying and crossing your fingers and all that. You want to pray, right? But you want to pray for the ability, to have conviction and make decisions and do the little things, right? That's what you want to pray for. Um, because it's just you don't want to be out here hoping that some guy who has no idea you exist happens to choose the thing that you want. Media news, COVID censorship. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg said it was wrong for the Biden administration officials to pressure the company to censor COVID-19 content in 2021. Quote, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again, he wrote in a letter to the House Judiciary Committee. Now, Zuckerberg also admitted that Meta shouldn't have hidden content related to corruption allegations involving Hunter Biden and said he would not make contributions to support electoral infrastructure this election cycle. I feel like he's kind of trying to like. I mean, Zuckerberg is just such a lizard person, right? He's big on camouflage and whatever seems to be popular, he likes to do. So I feel like he sees Elon Musk getting very involved, and Elon Musk being the head of X, and he's really trying to position X as like the premier marquee place for free speech. And Zuckerberg's like, wait, I'm here too. Like, don't forget about Meta. Like, I hate when the government tries to make me do stuff. I remember back in 2021, it's like, dude, it's 2024 now. Why don't you bring that up in 2021 or 2022 or 2023? Right? You bring it up during an election year. So yeah, do I think it's right that stuff was being censored? No, but also like if you think it's wrong, bring it up then. Don't bring it up when it's like convenient for you to be taking a stand after a guy who's clearly your competition is also taking a stand, right? Um, so yeah, I don't really that doesn't really affect any of these tickers or these stocks and how they'll move. Um, so it's kind of throwaway news here. Consumer news: rethinking DEI. Lowe's, ticker Low, is the latest company to dial back its diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, buckling under online criticism of its policies, with conservative activist Robbie Starbuck claiming credit for the move. The home improvement retailer will no longer participate in the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index and will only sponsor community events related to affordable housing, disaster relief, and skilled trades education. The move follows Tractor Supply Co., Deere, and Harley Davidson scaling back or scrapping DEI programs in recent months. This is a trend that is only going to continue. Right, it's only going to continue. And this Robbie Starbuck guy is definitely going to parlay this into a political career for sure. For sure. I mean, this guy is, he's got all these different companies in his sights. And if there's one thing people like to do, it's not take accountability and show hate toward others. Right. So everybody's going to blame everybody else for their misfortune instead of just going out and learning the two things that you need to thrive in 2024, which is putting your money to work for you in markets and learning how to utilize and leverage AI. Right. It's very simple, but people don't want the truth, right? People would rather buy into a fantasy where they can be lazy and miserable than one where they can be hardworking and it be nice. And that's just the flat out truth. And I don't want to be one of those people. So if you feel like you're one of those people, it's a very simple remedy. All you have to do is execute, right? When we talk about executing, you pretty much, and I saw a great video clip of Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, talking about how the aim should be to fail fast, always. Like people are afraid of failure. What you want to do is fail fast, get those things out of the way, understand how not to do it, and then you know what you need to do. People are so afraid to fail when really you should be trying to fail as quickly as possible, right? You don't want to keep up the failure, but what you want to do is step in all of the holes so that you know where they're at, right? The reason why I know all of these little things about markets that can help, us avoid these potholes is because I fell directly into them, right? The reason why I'm so familiar and I know how to trade up here around all-time highs is because I've had to do it before, right? So it's just very important to go through and try and just fail as much as possible. So I say all that to say, bringing it back to DEI, if you're someone who is involved in that space, right, and that might be a capacity that you hold at whatever organization you're in, you got to make sure that you're adding other skills to your skill set because that's not going to be enough, right? At this point, people are just worried. Like it's just an overall employment struggle with the rise of AI and all of that. It's really just an employment struggle over like all our people that are employed, we need to have this type of person, that type of person, that type of person. Like that's dead, right? At this point we're trying to figure out where we want to actually have people in a company and where we want to have robots, right? So it's no longer like a this type of person, that type of person. And you can't change that as much as you would like to change it, but you can make sure that regardless of what happens, you can still put food on the table, and that's what you want to do, right? So go out, fail fast, get them out of the way, take notes. Don't just fail and continue to fail and be like, man, I'm just keep failing. But no, learn, adjust, execute, fail, learn, adjust, execute. That's literally all of life. And everyone who's successful has done it because everybody that you hear about has failed at way more things than they have succeeded at. Right? You look at Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA, that dude has failed a crap ton of times. Elon Musk, right? Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I always bring up The Rock, so I love The Rock. There's so many people where they just fail, 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 right? Apple, look at the Vision Pro. We called that absolute bumbling move. And it's not like we're billionaires, right? But we sat here and called the Apple Vision Pros flop. And it flopped. It was a failure, right? But you got to fail fast, get it out of the way, understand it, and then move and pivot forward, right? That is the goal. Constant evolution. But evolution does not happen without some type of shortfall, right? Regulation news, new tariffs. Canada plans to impose a 100% surtax on all Chinese made electric vehicles effective October 1, with the aim of leveling the playing field as Chinese EV makers currently enjoy large subsidies in the country. Currently, Tesla is the automaker that exports China made EVs to Canada. The decision follows the US and the European Union imposing their own tariffs on Chinese EVs amid growing concerns of an oversupply of cheap vehicles. Speaking of tariffs, XPeng, ticker XPEV, is looking to set up a manufacturing site in Europe to lessen the impact of the region's levies. Yeah, I mean, XPeng and these Chinese companies, EV companies, are kind of running the board here, and America and Canada are striking back. Um, but as of right now, it's affecting a company that isn't an American company, right? It's Tesla. So some news there that affects Tesla that I feel like on the surface you would not realize that, right? You see, okay, Canada imposes 100% surtax on Chinese-made EVs. That doesn't really affect you unless you're like heavy China EVs, which I doubt anyone is heavy China anything right now. Um, then you wouldn't think, oh, Tesla, but Tesla is wrapped up in this. In terms of today's markets in Asia, Japan up 0.5%, Hong Kong up 0.4%, China down 0.2%, India flat, London up 0.3%, Paris flat, Frankfurt up 0.2%, the Dow down 0.1%, S&P down 0.1%, Nasdaq down 0.1%, crude down 0.6%, gold down 0.4%, Bitcoin down 2.3%. Today's economic calendar, consumer confidence at 10 a.m. That's like the one thing that will affect us here this morning during market open. So keep that in mind. Set a little alert or reminder if you need to with your trusty voice assistant. What else is happening? Rapid fire stock news rundown here to close us out. Albertsons sees bleak future if Kroger deal falls through. Marijuana rescheduling likely delayed due to DEA hearing. Fed's Mary Daly joins Jerome Powell in calling for rate cuts. I mean, like these are going to be the most widely expected and understood rate cuts that we've ever seen. But again, remember that rate cuts don't just mean straight up for the rest of the year, right? Oftentimes we, go up some percentage after the cuts and then we top out and we turn around and we fall a significant percentage, right? Like correction territory, 15, 20 type percent. So understand that and figure out how you can, finagle and manage doing that, right? We still have until September, middle of September, until we get that cut. So it's not like again, you're like, oh, we got to get out of here now, like fire, fire, fire. It's just have that understood. It's like when you're coming up on an exit ramp, right? You can make it if you're still going a little fast, but if you are going just a little bit too fast, you will crash out. And that's why it's just when you know well ahead, then you're already in the mindset to make those decisions instead of you having to be like, oh my God, I'm just randomly, kind of pulling off here. And it's also to make sure that you maintain managed expectations, even if we do start pumping again, right? Because that's what everyone gets. We talk about marijuana rescheduling. Everybody gets high off the green candles, right? You see him, you're like, oh my God, the sky's the limit. All these profits, they feel so good. It's so hard to take profits, but at the end of the day, the data is the data, right? Ones and zeros are ones and zeros. So you got to be prepared from what the past has showed us is plausible, right, and probable, and position yourself accordingly, right? That's what allows you to be consistently profitable, as well as just surviving while everything else is getting destroyed, right? That's the main thing. Sometimes it's about winning, winning, winning. Other times it's just about surviving, 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 and learning how to shift gears through that is key. HPQ secures $50 million in proposed CHIPS Act funding. BYD's lithium project likely to be delayed. ARK Invest, Tesla is robotaxi leader despite rivals' early start. PDD sinks after warning of weak demand, fierce competition. PDD, something that I loved, right? The company that owned Timu might have to just finally say goodbye fully to PDD longs because at this point, they're just being a pain in the butt. And that was the only Chinese company that I was willing to take a chance on. But now it just seems like China as a whole, I'm just completely going to leave there, right, in the dust. And it's fine. We have a very high, percentage when it comes to like leaps and all those hitting and doing well. So, I'm not complaining. I feel like the time that you spend complaining about plays that don't work, if you were focusing on ones that did work, you would have already made back what you lost, which is the case here with PED. But just, of earnings, if they would have hit earnings, they, would have bounced at strong monthly support and been fine. But then they got cracked on earnings. So I feel like now it's a matter of seeing where they, kind of finish this month and close out this monthly candle, deciding on whether or not they even have a chance, as opposed to firing. I think it was a weekly double top. I don't have fingers on up right now, or firing something that could, cause it to continue to go down. Crude oil gains on supply concerns as Libya shuts production. And then Trump media ticker DJT registers 5 million shares for sale. Stock dips. So everyone, beautiful people. As we said, the analogies are unmatched. Yeah, trying to make things as easy as possible. Beautiful people. Let's make this a great day, right? A continued great day. We hit on a few different tickers yesterday for nice swings to start this week off hot. IWM, we blew it out of the water, right? Over 100% again after already doing over 100% on the shorter term ones on Friday, right? So we started off this week hot. Let's make sure that we continue to do the little things, continue to pay attention to what matters. What you're in does not matter as much as how you manage it. I can tell you a stock that's going to go up. If you don't know when to go out, it's of no use to you, right? So make sure that you are making decisions that you're getting 1% better, just a little bit each and every day. Continue to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And make decisions, right? Make good decisions. I love saying one of my favorite quotes: "You're born looking like your parents, but you die looking like your decisions." So decide each and every day that every step you take is a step toward a life of true happiness and true fulfillment. Confess that over yourself and then follow it up with actions. And I guarantee you things will start falling into place a lot quicker than you anticipated. So I'll let you guys go and get out of here. Let's have a great day. My man Tage, happy birthday, happy 50th, King. You deserve it. Have a great day. And everybody else have an amazing day as well. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market prep session. Have a good one.